What's up everyone, my name is Karma and welcome to another episode of Can It Play at 4K. Now today we're going to be looking at the ASUS Strix 1080 Ti OC edition. Now this is kind of a card that I would normally do a proper review for, but essentially everyone knows kind of what features you're getting out of this. If you don't, you can have a look at my ASUS Strix 1070 OC video. I'll leave the link in the description. And you guys can check that out. You can see the features it has, like the RGB LEDs and the backplate and the kind of aesthetic that it has, as well as the 3 fans. But I just want to look at what it can do at 4K, the 1080 Ti edition, because essentially that's what it's on the market for. People are buying it because they want to play at 4K with this card. If you put it at 1080p or 1440p, it just crushes over 60 FPS very easily in those games, and even in some games you're going to be able to hit 144 FPS. So if you have a 144Hz monitor, it's really good at that. Now we're looking at 4 games today. I got Rise of the Tomb Raider on screen right now, but I'll also have GTA 5, Doom, and a title from this year, which is Ghost Recon Wildlands. So we have 2 older titles like Rise of the Tomb Raider and Grand Theft Auto 5. Got a title from last year, which is Doom. And this year we got, of course, Ghost Recon Wildlands. In addition, we also got Vulkan covered from Doom, and DirectX 12 is running through Rise of the Tomb Raider. So we got DirectX 11, and we got Vulkan, and we got DX12 in these sort of benchmarks. Now, I just wanted to show you some real-time footage because I think that that's probably a lot more helpful, and I'm showing you also the settings that I'm using because I think that's also helpful. We got an FPS graph on screen at the bottom in yellow, and you can just see very clearly that in most cases, you're going to be able to play games above 60 FPS. Maybe some games you're not going to be able to, but if you drop a couple of the settings from either ultra to high, you're going to be doing just fine above 60 FPS. Now, the problem with this card is I call it kind of an entry-level 4K card. Now, while it can do 4K and it does it very, very well, it can't exactly push every game above 60 FPS at 4K. We're still not at that stage. Older titles, something like Grand Theft Auto 5, still has some issues, especially when you get to grassy areas. But other than that, I mean, this is a perfectly good card if you want to play some older titles at 4K, and maybe some less demanding titles, even the newer ones that you're going to get out there. But I still think that this is an entry-level 4K card. We're not at that stage yet. I think we're going to have to wait till Volta before we truly get something that's powerful enough to do 4K 60 FPS, and hopefully the 2080 Ti, or the 2080 at least, maybe even, might be able to do that just fine. That is if Nvidia does call it the 2080. But yeah, right now, this card, good in some games, not so good in others. You're going to have to drop some settings, especially in Rise of the Tomb Raider, I had to drop some settings. In GTA 5, I had MSAA on 4 times, so you could probably drop that to 2 and still get some sort of anti-aliasing, but also not get that much of a performance hit and lower the grass quality. As for Doom, Doom ran absolutely fine on Ultra. It ran at like 90 FPS, so that game is really well optimized. Not very demanding, but it is like a particular game that I think looks still very good, even though it isn't very demanding. It's really well optimized. And Ghost Recon Wildlands, yeah, couldn't run it on Ultra, and I think I had to drop it to high, because even very high wasn't working out that well. So yeah, overall, pretty decent card. I think if you're looking for a model, this is probably the best one that there is. Just some quick overclocking stats that I had. I was able to push about 8% more out of it. So at default, which is what you're seeing on screen, it's running at default in all these benchmarks, is that it's getting an average GPU boost clock of around about 2000. It sometimes drops to 1988 or 1980 megahertz, but it's pretty close to that 2000. And when I was able to OC it, I was able to get maximum 2100 megahertz. 2088 was where it was most stable, and I was able to get a plus 400 for the max memory clock. So yeah, overall it overclocked pretty well, and that additional 8% when you're running at something like 60 FPS already is going to give you about 4 or 5 extra frames. And even though I was using the card, it wasn't actually running that hot. I had a max temperature at stock of 56 degrees Celsius on the auto fan profile, so it was absolutely fine. As far as I'm concerned, this is probably one of the best GTX 1080 Ti's that you can get on the market. There are some better ones out there, like the Poseidon, also from ASUS, where you can do, you know, water cooling and also have the fans on at the same time. It's kind of like a hybrid. But when you have those kinds of cards, they're more for enthusiasts. Whereas this one I think will work in, you know, ITX builds, maybe if you can fit it, depending on your case, and something just like a normal PC. At this stage, I think Nvidia's cards are made really well. They don't really produce that much heat, so you can pretty much cool those very easily. So as far as I'm concerned, 1080 Ti, it's good, it's very good, it's the fastest card on the market right now. Vega looks like it's gonna be a GTX 1080 kind of competitor. So yeah, I guess you're gonna have to get this if you want to play at 4K right now, but you're gonna have to make some compromises. Nothing is, well, good enough it seems to really drive 4K 60 FPS, and we're probably gonna have to wait till Volta. So I guess that's my thoughts, guys. If I had to rate this card out of 10, this particular model I'd probably rate at a 10 out of 10. It's got a good cooler, it overclocks really well, and just overall it didn't make that much noise. It drew about 230, maybe 240 watts when it was just running default. I didn't look at overclocking how much power it took, but I'm guessing it probably drew about 300 watts, maybe 280. And other than that, it was just perfectly fine. I mean, when you compare this to something like Vega, where it draws 400 watts and you're getting less performance, yeah, I'm not particularly impressed by that card and that architecture. But this one, definitely worth the wait. And if you want to pick up a 1080 Ti, just any of them, I recommend it because it's obviously the fastest card on the market. But you are going to have to make those compromises, like I said. So that's all for today, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Subscribe for more if you liked this video. Also, like it if you did like the video. And thanks for 650 subscribers, guys. Like, it's been a long time to get here, but we finally got there. So we're only 350 away now from 1,000, which is pretty awesome. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.